if you need to step somewhere in life, if you need to grow, if you need to succeed, then you have to slap yourself out of excuses and step into execution. That is our mantra as the Hit Reset Show. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to yet another edition of the show. And my name is K Kyewa, and we are going to be cruising for the next few minutes, getting to share, getting to learn something, getting to unlearn, and getting to impact ourselves with knowledge that is going to push us to grow, that is going to push us to success. And today we are going to be talking about something that might seem slight or small, but yet it actually means a lot. Because, you know, in the journey of growth, there is nothing you have to underestimate, because it could be something as small as a mustard seed, but it can hinder your growth. Yet some values that still look as small as a mustard seed could take you somewhere. So today we are going to be talking about comparison over contentment, and my title today is Beat Comparison and Adopt Contentment. Comparison, sometimes you may not even actually acknowledge or realize that you actually be comparing yourself with someone else or comparing your life with someone else's life, yet you're actually doing so. And hey, what if comparison is what is stopping you from growing? What if comparison is what is limiting you and keeping you in stagnation and not progressing? What if it is what is hindering your progress? And so that is what we are going to be talking about today, and we are going to talk about what could be causing that comparison. How can we beat that comparison? How is that comparison affecting you? Because you could be like, hey, okay, I don't think comparison is affecting me in a way or the other, but yet it actually is. So we are going to know how comparison could be affecting you, and maybe you could actually get answers to some of the questions that you could be having you as a person. Because comparison, once you're not content with yourself, there's no way you're going to grow. Now, comparison is basically relation based on differences and similarities. As in, okay, as Joy, I look at Patricia and I'm like, okay, what does she have that I don't have? What do we have both of us? What do we have in common as the two of us? You get, that is comparison. It is a relation based on differences and similarities. And the reason that's why I say that comparison could be what is stopping you from progressing is simply because you tend to waste time minding on what other people are doing, minding other people's lives, instead of investing time in seeing that you get to grow, in seeing that you get to know what you need, in seeing that you get to invest all the time in yourself. And that is why that is why I made a statement that comparison could bring you from growing. And then the other thing is that you realize that comparison is a prison, comparison is a bondage, because it keeps you somewhere, it keeps you in a cage, it keeps you confined in one place, not letting you grow, not letting you go out, not letting you do what you are supposed to do, because then you just need to be in one place and observe, okay, what is so and so doing, what is so and so doing. That is what comparison does. It will limit you from investing time in yourself, and then you find yourself wasting time on other people. Now, on the other hand, contentment is that satisfaction, that gratification, that ease, that like that satisfaction in that, okay, yes, maybe I'm not where I want to be, maybe I haven't gotten the success I need, maybe the progress might not be so visible as such, but hey, I'm content and I'm literally doing what I'm supposed to be. Now, what I want us to understand is that contentment shouldn't be settling for less. I don't want you to confuse that. I don't want you to confuse contentment and settling for less. Some of you, in the name of contentment, are instead settling for less. Like, you have chosen not to do the hard work, you have chosen not to stress yourself, not to have your hands dirty, and in the name of contentment, oh no, me, I'm content with where I am. Hey, you're settling for less. We are going to understand contentment and the principles that govern contentment, and how and when you can actually say that you're content. Because just like I've said, you could be settling for less, yet you actually think that you're being content. So Contentment is not sitting still, but contentment is being okay with the process. Contentment should come from a place of understanding that, hey, okay, I'm not going to rush. Though I have seen people in my field, I have seen people do what I'm doing, but I'm not going to rush. I am going to bear with the process. I'm going to bear with the highs and the lows, with the bruises and the bumps. I'm going to bear with everything to see that I get there. To keep my pace, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. If it is seeking for the knowledge, I will, but I'm not going to pressurize myself, and I'm not going to get out of myself. I'm going to keep intact. I'm going to keep up with myself in the process. Now that is contentment. Contentment is not sitting still. Contentment is not saying, no, me, I'm not going to go for that hustle. I'm not going to stress myself. I'm not going to bother myself. I'm not going to make myself uncomfortable. No, contentment is not sitting in your comfort zone. Contentment is being okay with the process. And I'm sure that in one of the editions of the show, we shall be talking about the power of process. So it is being content. It is being satisfied with the process. When the storms come, you're like, okay, it is very okay. I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to, okay, yes, because sometimes you look at someone else, you compare yourself with someone else, but you literally don't know what they went through. For you, all you see is the lights, all you see is the success that they have, all you see is the noise of the money they have, but you don't know the process that they have gone into. Now, that is what comparison does. But contentment is like, okay, I'm going to be inspired by these people. I'm going to be motivated by the fact that if they made it, I'm also going to make it, but I'm not going to compare myself. If I need anything from them, maybe I'll go ask them how they did it, but it's not going to go beyond that. I'll be happy for them, I will celebrate them, but I'll be content, and I'm not going to compare myself with them. The other thing is that contentment is an attitude. You realize that it is a virtue, it is a value that you attach onto yourself. I have come to realize that a lot of these things, in fact, everything to do with life is a decision you take. Because once you take a decision, then you have your mind set onto it, then obviously you'll pursue it. So it is a value or a virtue or an attitude that you attach onto yourself. So same as comparison. Yes, and I don't want us to feel like, hey, okay, maybe this was just made in my DNA. No, it is possible you can beat it, because none of us is born rich, but we have seen people become rich. That means there is a process that they went through. So every weakness can be overcome in a way. So let us dive into the whole thing. Now, you could be wondering, what is causing me to compare myself with others? It could be upbringing, it could be the environment, the people that you are surrounding yourself with, it could be because of greed, it could be discontentment. Those are some of the things that will cause you to compare yourself with others, because you're like, hey, how are they going to see me putting on this black dress? Yet my circle of friends, they all put on dope suits and dope clothing. So before you know it, you're struggling so much. Before you know it, you're stressing yourself. Before you know it, each time you have to meet with them, you're stressing yourself so much. My day, you'll even end up stealing, because you're trying to compare yourself with them, and so you want to fit in their lives. So this is how comparison limits growth. Earlier on, I mentioned that comparison will keep you in a place where you will waste time mining other people's progress instead of investing time in knowing how you can work on your progress. Comparison leaves you with no chance to focus on focus on yourself, so you will end up failing. That is why a lot of times we have seen people that jump on one thing to the other, that, like, they can never settle. And I think that is our next point: unsettlement. Like, you can never settle, because okay, today you're cooking tea, today your business is tea, you cook tea, porridge, milk, but you realize that, okay, the one that is doing soda is working, so is making more sales, so you feel like, hey, maybe I should jump onto that. So comparison will leave you with no room of settlement. Like, you can't settle on one thing, you can't focus on one thing to see that you make the very best out of it. That is what comparison does. Because there is a saying that goes that it is always greener at the neighborhood. Trust me, it is always greener at the neighborhood, but it is always greener just because you see the lights, but you don't know what the darkest bit of it looks like. It is always green at the neighborhood. Even, you know, growing up, it always felt like, okay, so and so, this place feels so good, feels so comfortable. But in actual sense, you don't know that even this person has their own struggles. So it was always green at the neighborhood, but learn to be content. Appreciate the fact, learn from them, be inspired, be motivated, but don't compare yourself with them. Then the other thing is, comparison will lead you into rushing. It will lead you into rushing because, okay, you have gotten to know this person for 1 to 3 1 week, 1 to 3 days 1 week, so you have observed that they are really making it in life. So you're also like, hey, I need to make it in life, but you don't know how much time it took for them to get to where they are right now. Sometimes you don't know how this person is even getting the success, but you're rushing and you want to get there. My dear, you'll crash. The saying goes, you rush, you crash. Then loss of peace. There is nothing that is going to keep your peace hanging on a thread like comparison, because you want to be like so and so, you want to be like person B, you want to be like person X, you want to be like person Z. Like, everyone has something that you really compare yourself with them. So comparison will take away your peace. It will kill your peace. And once you don't have peace, you don't have the joy, you don't have happiness. Before we know it, you move along, you move in the road, quarreling with yourself, like, you know, all those things that come with loss of peace. And the other thing is that we have seen self-esteem die, we have seen relationships die, we have seen marriages die, because because it looks like the other couple, they are doing so well for you, because you have chosen to exalt the messes over the good things in your relationship. You're trying to look at the bloom at the other side, the greenness at the other side. Before you know it, your relationship has died. We have seen self-esteem die. We have seen people develop imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is trying to live like someone else. Like, you lose yourself and then you try to live like the other person, but you literally don't know their struggles, you don't know how they are making it to go through life the way they are, but you're trying to be like them. Imposter syndrome. We have seen people get imposter syndrome. We have seen people we have seen unhealthy competition coming up, because, you know, if you're content with yourself, if you're content with where you are, if you're content with your process, then you'll understand that you are not competing with anyone. You are competing with yourself to say that you challenge yourself that you will not be where you are right now in the next 5 years. So, unhealthy competition. You're competing with A, you're competing with B, you're competing with Z. I mean, before you know it, will you be really living? That's something that you need to think about. Then the other thing is we have seen development of poor vices, greed. We have seen anxiety, depression. People end up in depression because then, you know, sometimes like I've told you, you try to be like someone else, but you don't know how they're doing with their life. So the stress, the anxiety, the depression, because you can't make it in their lifestyle, you end up getting depressed. And then the other thing is why contentment? But even before we dive into why contentment, let us know, how can we beat comparison? Because yes, it is possible. Like I said, it is really, really, really possible to beat comparison. Number one, pray about it. A lot of times we don't want to attend to our spiritual lives because we feel like it is okay. Because some people feel like it is not so important. Some people feel like it is waking up, go work, do what you're supposed to do, full stop, come back, sleep. But if you live your spiritual life unattended to, then I don't know what kind of growth is that. Because your creator knows you more. Your creator knows why he created you. He knows your purpose of life. He knows literally everything about you. He knows how he made you. He knows the uniqueness that he placed upon you that someone else doesn't have. So get better. Talk to God and you're like, hey, God, okay, comparison is eating me up. Comparison, I end up becoming jealous, because where do you think jealous comes from? Jealous comes from comparison. Because before you know it, okay, your friend is doing so good in life, so you're like, hey, for them, why them, why them? Before you know it, you're having the envy, you're converting them, you're having jealous for them. So talk to God and you're like, hey God, the thing is, jealous is eating up my heart, jealous is eating me up, and I think I can't grow because of jealous, because I am not content, because I am comparing myself always with others, with other people. So pray about it. And the thing is, acknowledge it. Earlier, when we were starting the show, I told you that sometimes you don't even realize that you're comparing yourself with others. Sometimes it might even look like you're getting inspiration from others. Like it might look like you're trying to see people that have made it so that you get to know how they have made it. Yet in actual sense, there is a complete difference between the two, and there is a line between the two. So acknowledge that, hey, that actually comparison could be what is limiting you from growing. The other thing is, shift your mind and challenge yourself to be content. Earlier on, I mentioned that everything in life is a decision you make. The decision you make will determine who you become. So shift your mindset and challenge yourself that, hey, okay, each time I sense comparison coming in, each time I look at someone and I feel like I'm starting to compare myself with them, I'm going to stop it immediately. If it means coming up with certain strategies, it is very okay. It is very okay. I will dive into some of these things that I've seen other people do, but because of time, I think I'll share some other time. Then the other thing is, however hard it is, be content. Celebrate yourself, who you are and what you have. Be content with yourself. Then the other thing is, be happy for other people's success and only learn from them. Only learn from them, because adopting a good attitude will obviously suppress the bad attitude. So teaching yourself to be happy for others will suppress the jealous and you trying to envy other people. I think lastly, why contentment? Okay, someone would be like, okay, why do I, like, is it even important to be content? Let us talk about it. First of all, contentment is godly and spiritual. When you look at the 10 commandments, there are commandments like do not kill, do not envy, do not admire your neighbor's wife, do not admire your neighbor's house or anything. You know those 10 commandments. You realize that they all drive into contentment, because by the time God instructs you that do not admire your neighbor's wife, do not admire your neighbor's house or property, then he's definitely trying to say that be content with what you have. Be content with the process that you are going through. So contentment is godly. And just like I mentioned earlier, if your spiritual life is not worked on, if you don't work on your spiritual life, if you don't work on your spiritual growth, then I really question your personal growth or your growth at large. The other thing is, contentment will enhance your growth, because the gratification is a pull factor to making more efforts to see that you better up yourself. The gratification, because gratification, like that self-gratification, that self-satisfaction will be like, okay, hey, wow, I actually did this, let me also do this. So before you know it, you're making efforts that you need to make to see that you get to be better. Then the other thing, it boosts your inner peace. People, let me tell you, there is nothing as sweet as having peace. Let me tell you, do you know that you can be in that is so bad? You can be in a terrible life. You can be in lack. You can be in a place where you have debt with everyone, but still have peace. That is the best place that everyone can ever experience. And that is the peace that I'm talking about. Self-satisfaction, contentment, gratification will bring about peace, will bring about pleasure, will bring about happiness in your life. So that and more is why I say that adopt contentment and beat comparison. So if you're out there and you have been comparing yourself with people around you, sometimes it is because of the pressure around us, because maybe your peers are succeeding, because maybe the pace of the speed of their growth is maybe faster than yours. Please don't compare yourself. Just know that whatever they went through, maybe you don't even have the capacity to go through. Like maybe your capacity is elsewhere than their lifestyle. So focus on yourself and be content with yourself and allow yourself to go through the process of growth. So I believe that you have learned something from today's edition of the show, and I can't wait for your feedback, because we really, that feedback really means a lot. Maybe I have something that I need to learn from you. Maybe you have something to supplement on the show, and we shall be so glad. And we are proudly sponsored. The Hit Research Show is proudly sponsored, and is proudly sponsored by the by Front Media. I have an amazing team of people that make sure that this show is brought unto you each now and then. So we have Front Media. I have viewing videos, Mukisa Joshua. I have Stephen Kwagala. There is Trevor's Fruit Squeeze, and of course I myself. We can't wait to get in touch with you next week on the other edition of the show. And for now, take care of yourselves. We love you so much as the Hit Research Show. We care about your growth, and we want to see that we get to grow together with you. My name is K Kyewa. I love you so much. Thank you for being part of the show.